Hey guys, so I'm returning the Samsung S24 Ultra despite all of its strengths because of really two main factors. First is a loose button, and second is because of absolutely terrible biometrics. A lot of others have mentioned the screen, but I'm only coming from the iPhone, so that's all I know. And I think the S24 Ultra is a class above the iPhone, so I'm not going to go into the display here, but instead the other two things that I mentioned. Let's dive right in. First off, the power button on my unit is a little bit loose. It's hard to show on video, but when I run my finger across the button, it rocks along the actual mechanism under it. It doesn't instill confidence every time I press it, and it feels like that it'll eventually give out, which is kind of disappointing for such an expensive phone. Secondly, if you're coming from an iPhone or any other phone like a Xiaomi, which is literally a third of the price, get ready for disappointing biometrics. Honestly, this alone is such a letdown. The surface area for the fingerprint reader on the screen is pretty small, and when you just want to get into your phone and unlock it, you have to make sure that your finger is exactly in the right spot and covering the entire surface area. Otherwise, it doesn't recognize it. Secondly, the facial recognition is a full second slower at times, not always, but for most of the times it takes a second to load, and I keep swiping the screen before the face recognition fully unlocks, which then prompts me to enter my passcode and then only to unlock the phone. This wouldn't be much of an issue if iPhone's face recognition was just so fast. I just feel like I have to stare at my phone for a full second now before I can even get into it. And there are some angles where my face just isn't recognized at all, which I'll show you in this clip. My head is staring almost directly at the phone, but there's a slight shadow on my face as only half of my face is lit by sunlight. Now with the facial recognition, I would say the majority of the time it does work, but there is a solid maybe 20% where it doesn't, or just delays or takes a lot longer than I would like for it to. So it's not that it's completely broken, but it's just enough for me to be frustrated by the whole process. I also thought there was something wrong with my S24 Ultra, but I also have the S24 Plus with me, and that one is just as slow and frustrating to use as well. So I think it's something that has to do with Samsung software and hardware. Thirdly, when you do unlock the phone, of course you have to swipe to get to the home screen, but it's bizarre how many times that I've tried to swipe only to have the phone give me a little dance and not let me actually get to the home screen. I'm not sure what I'm doing wrong here, because maybe I'm coming from an iPhone where it's much easier to get to the home screen where you just swipe from the bottom. But I literally feel like I have to either fully flex my thumb or swipe with my other hand to get to the home screen, which is annoying when you just want to get into your phone. Lastly, this one isn't too applicable to me because I'm not taking a lot of photos, but the 100x zoom feels really gimmicky and produces warped and wobbly images even with direct sunlight. This is odd because Samsung clearly knew that this function is a bit disappointing and produces images that I wouldn't want to keep in my photo album, but they added it just because they wanted to play the numbers game, and in this sense, it reminds me that it's just another phone trying to overachieve instead of providing functions that are pleasing to the user, like the 30x zoom. That one is much clearer and it provides a great quality of zoom and photos that I would actually want to use and keep. Now, I'm being a bit harsh with the S24 Ultra, but only because it's the flagship model and it's one of the most expensive smartphones out there that's in the tablet form. There are clearly design elements and functions that are superior to every other phone out there, but it also seems to lose out to phones that are less than half of its price. Anyhow, I was originally planning to return the S24 Ultra, but now I'm even more confident that I'm sending it back. And although it sounds trivial, but it's really because of the lack of biometrics or frustrations of just being able to access the phone. It feels a lot like getting a really nice, let's say, electric car, and you're just not able to open the door. Let's say the key fob doesn't acknowledge that you're close to it and the door doesn't pop open. I don't have an electric car, but I've seen Tesla's door handle freeze when it gets really cold, and it would feel like that. You have this really great piece of technology, but you can't access it. Well, sometimes you can under certain circumstances. What about you guys? Have you had better experiences with the S24 Ultra or just really Samsung in general? Am I really just nitpicking, or are these valid reasons in your opinion? I'd love to see your comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.